If I only had $10,000 to invest, I'd probably start with an arbitrage deal. If I had $50,000 to invest, I would absolutely buy my first short-term rental property. And if I had $100,000 to invest, I would totally focus on more unique stays and vacation rentals. Let's look at what I would recommend somebody buying or getting into. They have $10,000, $50,000, or $100,000 to invest. There's so many different types of starting points to your investing journey. Some of you have already gotten up to $50,000, really great work. Some of you are able to save up to $100,000 or more. For those folks, that's an amazing job. Well done, bravo. Now with all those three types in mind, what can you actually afford with that? How can you get started in investing? So let me help you out. We're gonna pair up a good investment for the $10,000 person, the $50,000 person, and the $100,000 person. For the $10,000 person, we don't have a whole lot to work with. So we got to get a little clever here. On a $10,000 investment, one of the best ways you can get started are either A, with a partnership, or B, an arbitrage deal. Let's look at an arbitrage deal because trying to find the right partner doesn't always come easy and fast. One of the areas I already invest in, I just found this property for $2,600 a month. Let's just say we can get it for $2,500 for easy math. Looking through this property, we can see that it's pretty much a new build. Everything's clean, ready to go, kind of bland, but that's okay. That's where the design and furnishing comes in. We're gonna need some amenities here. So let's head over to AirDNA and figure out what kind of income a house in this area can probably make. So we just got to AirDNA, we just put in the city. Now we're gonna put in a little more data to fine tune our results. First, we're gonna go and make sure that we're selecting the entire place. Next, we're looking for house. There's not a whole lot of unique stays here, and this is not a bed and breakfast. For the bedroom count, we're gonna go up to 3 to 4 bedrooms. For the bathroom count, we're actually gonna go from 2 to 3 because we wanna create a bracket. You actually wanna bracket what your property is. And you don't wanna go with 3 and 3 because you might be missing something. And especially on certain properties, you might find additional square footage where you could create another bedroom. Or you can use the room that's designated as an office as a bedroom. So for this house, we have a 3-bedroom with a 2.5 bathroom. Plus it has an unfinished basement, which we could probably tune that up, make it look really cool and really fun. Add some games and maybe even a big TV or a projector screen. Minimally, we know we're gonna be able to accommodate 6, but it's possible we can get up to 10. So I'm gonna keep it just like that, and now I'm gonna hit apply. The next thing we wanna do is look at what listings are available, and preferably, you wanna look by review count, because unfortunately, sometimes the data gets skewed because they use what a couple days of rented data were, and they presume they're gonna average out over the year. So let's say you rented out a property for $1,000 for 1 day so far. It might presume that you're gonna rent it out for another 365 days at 1,000. That's obviously not likely. So what we need to do is look at which properties have at least 30 reviews preferably. Sometimes we'll work with the ones that have 20, but we wanna pay a little bit more attention to what's going on with those. Starting at the top, we can already see this property is doing 50, 45, 53, 33, and look at the review counts. They're all pretty good overall. And we're looking at the 4-bed, 2-bath, 3-bed, 2-bath, another 3-bed, 2-bath, 6, 6, 8, 9. So already we can see that like we're right in the bracket. This one has a nice little covered back porch area. So let's look at this first comp. Nice bathroom, nice setup. Looks like they have a bedroom in the basement. Very clean, well designed. Nice job. And we'll look at one more. Oh, that's ours right there. That's one of ours right there. This fourth one. Okay. Looking at one more option. We have a little custom wall design here. Looks like really nice cabinets. Photos aren't that great. Definitely not professional. Seems a little repetitive, but this property is making money. I think I've been to that house actually. Probably before it sold. Okay, so we can see that with this property, there's a very high likelihood it can make $50,000. And so we're gonna look at 50,000 divided by 12 is what? $4,100. So I'm gonna round it down just a little bit more just to make it even simpler. I'm gonna call it $4,000 gross. And then we're gonna subtract the rent payment. We're gonna say $2,500. So it's $1,500 to play with between utilities and income. I can already tell you for this size house, utilities are gonna be probably about $500, which will leave you with $1,000. But for easy illustration purposes, so if you spent $7,500 already on just getting the lease, you were able to secure a credit card for $15,000 and used all $15,000 to do the design and furnishing for the property. So obviously we can already see we're gonna need more than $10,000 to get this job done. So with good credit, you can leverage your ability to get good financing from a credit card to get you into your first arbitrage deal. While no, I don't always push for arbitrage because it's not a wealth building activity. What it is is it gives you a chance to learn the business of short-term rentals, and still learning the business is still a value. This is the one caveat reason why I'm still okay with people doing arbitrage. Get your feet wet, learn the business, and then from there, scale into ownership. Let's presume we spent the whole $10,000 in cash on getting the lease executed. Once we have the lease all executed and we have the credit card taken out that paid for the design and furnishing, in total, we spent $25,000. $15,000 is credit, $10,000 is cash. That's $25,000 in total you had to put into this deal to get it started. And then just as we proved earlier on, our expected net operating income is $12,000. So there's this thing called cash on cash. It's a metric that helps you understand how much cash you put in versus how much cash you got out. It lets you know if it's a good metric, if you got a good return. So if you put $25,000 into a deal and now you're starting to get $12,000 a year out of it, that metric ends up being 48%, which is almost 50%. That's an excellent metric. And in arbitrage, that's very easy to do because typically you don't have a high expense to get into these types of deals. The caveat, of course, you don't own it. You don't have control of the business. If the landlord ever decides to not renew your lease after 3 to 5 years, you have to start over fresh. And the truth is the furniture does not transfer well. You might be wondering what the word arbitrage means. Arbitrage is an old word that's been used in monetary policy for centuries. But in this sense, when we're talking about short-term rentals, arbitrage means renting a property from a landlord and then by subleasing it and using it for whatever means you deem necessary. That could be short-term, mid-term, or long-term rent. So in this case, if we're able to rent a property from a landlord for $2,500 and we have the right to continue to lease it or sublease it to somebody else, even after we're already renting it from the landlord, we can make a profit between the $2,500 and whatever we earn. That's called arbitrage. That little piece in the middle is called arbitrage. Okay, so that was our first example going over what you can do with $10,000. Now, what about the $50,000 people? Great job. Honestly, saving up $50,000, that was a big deal. Couldn't believe it the moment I finally saved $50,000 myself. What's crazy is once you have $50,000 saved, you can do so much more when it comes to investing. You can do a lot of passive things, or you can do a lot of active things. But for illustration purposes, we're gonna focus on short-term rentals. You can finally afford to buy your own short-term rental. Let's run through a scenario that's just like the last one we covered. Let's pretend that rather than renting the property we just went over, we actually could buy it. So you finally make your move to go buy this property at $275,000 with a 10% down payment, which you definitely still can get with DSCR loans or second home loans. You'd be at $27,500. Now at $27,500, that's pretty much just over half of what you were able to save so far. You may want to still consider using a credit card to help out with the design and the furnishing costs that are coming up. But if not, you can still go ahead and use the cash to do the purchase of the design and the furnishing moving forward. Okay, so this house is almost 1,800 square feet. So on average, we've been able to furnish most of our homes for about $8 to $12 a square foot. In this case, when we're not doing anything crazy and it's kind of just an inner city thing, we need it to look nice. We don't need to be completely themed out or have something really over the top. I think $8 is gonna work. In this case, that gets us to $14,400. And for simple numbers, we're gonna round that up to $15,000. So in total, we spent $15,000 on design and furnishing, and we spent the other 10%, which was $27,500 on the down payment to purchase the property. So now you're at $42,500. So at this point, you have $7,500 left, and you can use that just as buffer money. So just like in the other example, we presumed it would make about $4,000 a month in gross profit. Since we bought this property, we're gonna have to factor in taxes and insurance as well. So while buying the property tends to lower the overall payment, you have to add back in the fact that you're paying for taxes and insurance as well. So in the grand scheme, we're saving about $150 a month because we bought it. Now, even though these payments are extremely similar, the biggest difference that's worth focusing on here is you own this business. There's not gonna be a landlord that can take it from you. And two, you get all the tax benefits from finally owning rental real estate. So because our holding cost is about $150 less per month because we bought the property, it's 150 times 12 is gonna be the difference of what we're actually gonna net on an annual basis versus the other example. So even though we started with $50,000, we ended up spending $42,500, right? And we got $13,800 back. So in general, our cash on cash metric actually went down. It went to 32.5% versus the original 48% from arbitrage. But again, what's that differential? It's the tax write-offs that you finally get to have. It's the appreciation of the property that you're going to be able to enjoy year after year. And the fact that you have a business that a landlord can't take away from you. So what can you do if you saved almost $100,000? Let me show you an example. Over here, I have my BrokerMatt's top picks. This is something that I send out every week to all my clients. And on top of that, everybody that's in my mastermind, STR Legend, gets access to this every single day. They get to see all of my picks and we underwrite all these properties together. So everybody's able to find out exactly what they're getting into before they buy it. This is how we create so much trust and security in all of our decisions that we make. Let me show you a quick overview on how this works. This home isn't even expensive, but it's right near one of the biggest lakes in Michigan. As we scroll through it, there's nothing too crazy about it, right? This home with a tune-up and adding a hot tub is gonna be a huge home run for the next person that buys it. You can already see paint, floors, and light fixtures are gonna go a long way. So let's look back at that spreadsheet and see what we can do with this property. So our goal is gonna be to get out there and buy it for $252,000. We're gonna put $22,000 into it for furnishing. We're gonna put $15,000 into it so we can add a hot tub. Now rehab's gonna cost us about $20,000. So as we scroll over here, we've already looked at some comps. This one did 167. This one did 98. This one did 91. This one did 84. We can already see that there's so many great comps for the area. And based on how I do my numbers, I actually pulled that number down to a conservative 86. So presuming even with all those higher comps, if we pull that number down to 86, so based on some of my unique algorithms and calculations already built into the spreadsheet, I pulled it all the way down to 86,000. Why? Because I want a conservative number. And if it goes anywhere up from there, I'm gonna be very happy with this. What else did I factor in? I factored in our cleaning costs. I'm presuming 6 turns per month at $8 a square foot and a few other things. The utility costs are right there. Snow, lawn, supply maintenance, our new property taxes are calculated, our insurance, you name it. Here's our mortgage payment and our closing costs. Here's our down payment. And here's the number we've been waiting for. How much money do you need to buy this? $96,000. That entails your closing costs, your down payment, your rehab costs, and your furnishing. And because we factored in $86,000 in gross income, that's gonna leave us with an annual net operating income of $43,000, which is gonna come out to $3,600 a month in your pocket. Now, what is that $3,600 a month doing for your cash on cash metric? 45%. So what's crazy is, so yes, if you've already figured it out, there's a lot of benefit in buying higher end, more unique properties because they're so much harder to duplicate and they're gonna probably net a lot more money over time. So recapping, the first deal, for those that have 10,000, they were able to make $1,000 a month on that investment, which turned out to be a 48% cash on cash return. For the second deal, the people that have about 50,000 saved up, we used $42,500 and we were able to get a cash on cash of 32%, which was $13,800 in net profit per year. And on the third option, the people that have saved up to 100,000, we ended up spending $96,030, but we were able to create $43,337 in net annual income. And on top of that, it was at a 45% cash on cash metric. So for some of you, if you had 2 of those properties, it's almost 90,000 just with that property. So there you have it. There's 3 different ways to use $10,000, $50,000, or $100,000 to make sure that you're doing great in real estate investing. So tell me down below, which deal would you do and why? And if you're looking for more information on how you can finance all these deals, check my video down below. If you've already saved up $100,000 or more, reach out to me. I've got so many deals just like this that are high cash flowing deals and high cash on cash, things that no one is finding at all anywhere, especially with the new interest rates, but I've got them. And by the way, everything in my spreadsheet, I'm actually using a really high interest rate of 8.75%. That's right, I'm calculating at conservative numbers, which a lot of people never try to do. If you're at the $10,000 mark or the $50,000 mark, and you're still trying to make your way and understand everything about short-term rentals, I've got a coaching mastermind just for you. It's called STR Legend. And if you sign up with this link, you can get access to my 3-day mini course. And from there, I'm going to teach you about scaling. And within that, I'm going to teach you a lot more about what's involved in my mastermind, all the things you're going to learn like short-term, mid-term, long-term rentals, as well as burrs and flips. And more importantly, we're going to take away all of the fear that you might have about finding and buying your first short-term rental, as well as how do you scale and set up systems and teams to manage it so you don't overwhelm yourself in the future. If you have any of those questions, feel free to reach out and definitely check out my links below. And please like and subscribe for more. Would really appreciate the support.